Welcome to Ask Mark number 96. It is very exciting. We're getting very close to Ask Mark number 100, which is going to occur on January. It's the 10th of January Australian time, Saturday the 9th of January in the US. So it's going to be an afternoon or an evening where you can grab the girlfriends, grab drinks. We're all going to do an Ask Mark together. Going to bring in some very special people. So get excited for that. Ask Mark number 100 will be on the 10th of January, Brisbane, 9th of January, US. And let's get into the questions for number 96. If you haven't already, leave your question in the comment section with a hashtag AskMark, and that's how we know you've asked the question. So the first question, if I can read it today, is from Josefin. And Josefin says, hi, the short question is, if a partner breaks up because he's depressed, should you still do no contact? Not ask how he is. Look, generally speaking, yes. You can check in to just make sure he's alive very occasionally if you want to, Jocelyn. But ultimately, you are not responsible for getting him out of depression, right? You are not the police of his feelings. You're not the carer of it. And especially if you guys have broken up, it's really not on you to do that. So I think the best thing you can do is continue the no contact. Only if I was really worried about a partner, genuinely concerned that something had happened, would I make an exception and reach out. Otherwise, allow him to heal himself. Second question is from Carly, and Carly says, he left me with a question, and I responded, he hasn't opened it in 24 hours though. It isn't a dry text, I think he is busy, but I want to know from a guy's point of view, do they leave you undelivered to keep talking to you every day without seeming desperate? Look, honestly, if he's left you, the usual answer is he's not investing that much, right? The truth is, if a guy's really into you, he doesn't want to let you think that he's disinterested, and he doesn't want you to go invest yourself in other men. So the best thing you can do in these situations is go live your life, go talk to other people, hang out with friends, maybe go on a date, and it'll kind of just give the universe this vibe that he's losing you, and that's his signal to reinvest. If he does that consistently, if he's like this consistently, that's a really clear show of lack of interest. If he just does it once and maybe learns his lesson, then, well, he learns his lesson and hopefully he invests in you properly after that. The next question is from Shirley, and Shirley says, hi, just wanted to know how I can get my fiance to be more relaxed around his kids, well, with me, his kids with me. Even his kids don't get why he can't cuddle with me or kiss me. When they are about, I'm confused about this, and so are his 4 kids. Help. Yeah, Shirley, I think you've really got to open up the conversation lines with this guy and ask him, well, what's important for him in this situation? What does the meaning make for him in terms of you being around his kids? You know, is that something, because I get the feeling that maybe he's either not fully comfortable with you even being there, or he's just got issues with displaying affection with you in that scenario. So find out, ask him, what is it? Get him to be truthful with you. Tell him, I'm not made of porcelain. You can tell me the truth, be super honest with me, and come to a mutual understanding with him, and obviously sharing how it's making you feel as well and your understanding. It's ultimately on him to decide how and why he introduces you to his kids and how affectionate he is in that environment. But you want to know where he stands, and he needs to know where you stand as well. So it's a pretty clear case of you've just got to open up the communication channels, and then it's up to him to decide where he's at with that. The next question is from SS on the feminine energy video with Anya. Question is, can the same woman embody all the archetypes? Absolutely she can. In fact, every woman and even every man has these archetypes within her or him. But the key piece is some of these archetypes come very naturally to us, and some of these archetypes not so naturally. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, these are the different archetypes of feminine energy that I spoke about with Anya Grace in that video. So I'll put a link to that video up in the cards and down in the description. And basically, embodying these different archetypes, you'll notice that some come out at different times, some come easily to you, some don't. But overall, all of these archetypes are within you. Don't try to say I'm that one, because they're all within you. They all have their purpose, they all have a healthy function. And the more you embody all of them, the more you're going to feel great as a woman and just be radiant to men. Next question is from Erin. Erin says, how long do you need to go away? This is for the friend zone video. When you get stuck in the friend zone, couple of months, a year? We're friends, but we also work together, and he's clueless. So when I told him, I think it hadn't even occurred to him. Erin, not that long. A month or 2 should generally do it. Reference for Erin's question, if you're watching, is Erin saying, well, if I want to reset and bring some sexual energy into this, if I want to bring some sexual essence into this, it's nice to do it after a bit of a break. Like, how long do I leave that break, and how long do I not kind of see him for before I reset the situation? Yeah, it's nice if you can get a month or two. Erin? Eva says, hi Mark, love your contents, helped me so much, but I've got one dating scenario I'd love your input on. Met a wonderful man 2 years ago. Then I moved countries, had a toxic relationship, but kept in touch with him. We finally met in September. Wonderful, better than I thought. I stayed the night with him on the second date. He was caring and romantic, but we are a 3-hour plane ride away, and there's the whole business of the pandemic. He doesn't text me every day. Usually he'll respond to my stories, like pictures, but no calls. Considering he's interested in me for 2 years and says that he's looking for the one before meeting me, how can I get clarification? He's 34, I'm 27. Look, Eva, if you want me to be really honest here, men invest in women that they want to catch and that they want to hold on to. And the more they want that, the more they're going to invest in you. Now, sometimes they really like you and they won't do that because they're emotionally unavailable. Men have their own shit, of course, and that happens all the time. But look, if he's not texting and not really putting in the effort, then go lose interest in him. Put him down the priority list. Bring some other things up the priority list, like yourself, your friends, your hobbies, and even other men. And pretty quickly, he'll either step up or kind of disappear off your radar. He's not putting in enough effort as it stands right now. Sometimes you can communicate this, and if he sort of says something like, oh, you've been distant, what's going on with you? You can literally say that. You can be like, yeah, look, honestly, I'm more looking for someone who wants to regularly invest and wants to build something. And doesn't seem like right now the vibe I've been getting from you, especially through your actions, is that is you. And then just let that sit with him. He might respond and he might get his act together after that. But if not, believe a man's actions over his words. Next question is from Rebecca. And Rebecca says, I'm going through this right now. I don't know what, because I don't know what video this was on. Let's see if we can figure it out. How do you tell someone you have been wanting them for over 6 years and get that person to fall head over heels with you? Rebecca, 2 months ago, without a reason, you stopped contacting them completely. I wrote him a letter and it was left unanswered. What do I do? At this point, I feel like it's time to say goodbye, but how do I do it? He won't return my messages. I try to keep busy, but my mind goes back to him. Yeah, Rebecca, I think you already know the answer. Drop this guy, drop this fantasy. You've wasted 6 years investing mentally in something that his actions are saying is not going to be there. So don't invest a 7th, right? I see this so often is we get obsessed with the idea of someone and it's like, if I just have that person, that will solve my problems and he'll be the one. And we really invest in this idea and we shut down to all the amazing people who are around us who could actually make great partners, emotionally available guys in your city, in your town, at your work, all around you. So yeah, Rebecca, believe his actions, let go of the fantasy, do the mourning that you need to, and challenge yourself to go through the discomfort of dating emotionally available men. Next question is from Joyce. Joyce says, won't a guy lose interest quickly once you show that you're keen? Sure, if he's emotionally unavailable. Every time I let myself show a bit of vulnerability, the guy either backs away or tells me I'm being too intense. Well, usually you're chasing the wrong guys, if I'm being totally honest here, Joyce. If you show yourself and you're vulnerable and someone backs away from you, that's fantastic. You now know that person's not for you, right? If I share part of myself, I say, hey, you know, I'm going to be really vulnerable. I love cats and it makes me cry that cats get hurt and people are cruel to cats, and someone leaves, right? Then I've shared myself and they've made an informed decision that, oh, Mark's not for me, which is great. That's what filtering's all about. So that's a win. The other piece that I was going to add is just to make sure that you're not controlling with the way you're presenting it, which is if you're coming very forward at someone when you're being vulnerable, we think that's vulnerable, but it's really not. If I'm like, oh, I just need you in my life. I need you to be here. You know, I just want more hugs from you. And I really just need you to hold me in these situations. You have to do this for me. Right? That feels vulnerable, but it's actually very controlling because I'm basically controlling you. I'm telling you what to do and I'm not really giving you the option. I'm actually avoiding vulnerability by doing that. That's not me leaning back and saying, hey, can I be super open? It would mean so much to me if I get a hug from you right now. And I'd love to grow closer to you if that's something you want to do as well. Right, do you see I'm not pressuring you with that? So you've got to make sure as well that the way you're languaging this is not putting controlling pressure on the guys. But vulnerability is one of the best filters that you'll ever have. So good on you. Mary Stewart says, when dating someone online, when do you know the guy is really wants something and not a scammer? When you've met him multiple times and when your intuition is totally aligned. If not, don't commit to it. Laura says, having the two of you together making this video is powerful. Oh, Bogsy, I miss travel. That was a good trip, wasn't it, Matt? Oh, what a great day in California. Thank you for all the wonderful points. What if a guy's a drug trafficker and a woman is falling for him? This is different. What can a friend say to her to help her avoid getting involved with a man like that? Or should she pursue a relationship with him? Gee whiz, your friend's in love with a drug trafficker. Look, two things you can do. Number one is you can support her. Obviously, if she comes to you for help, you can be supportive, you can hold space for that. Number two is you can ask her questions. And usually people will listen a lot better if you ask them questions rather than telling them. Because if you just tell her, oh, you're in love with a drug trafficker, you're going to ruin your life, you should not do that, people tend to want to resist, especially if it doesn't feel good to follow your advice. But if you say something like, what advice would you have for me if I came to you in this situation? Then you might get her in touch with her own wisdom and to ponder that thought and answer it, even if it's not with you. But ultimately, you have to give people, she's an adult, so you have to give people responsibility for the consequences of their actions. So it is not your job to save her. You can do the best to help her. But sometimes supporting someone means giving them, or allowing, is a better word, the healthy consequences of their actions. Kimberly says, I'm in an LDR relationship for the last 5 months. We're both in our 50s and we both love each other, but we've never met. He was supposed to meet me in October, but he is tied up in a contract that will last him until February. Golly gosh. He tells me he's going to retire and asks me to wait for him, and that everything he is doing is for our future. And I believe that when he says it, as in the future part. So we talked and agreed to meet at Christmas break. In the meantime, he wants to do phone sex, but hardly text me as I did before. Am I crazy to wait for him, or should I move on? Look, Kimberly, the general rule I give you in these situations is that if you have to ask the question, then you've got a problem. It's not impossible that relationships that meet online work, but it's very rare. And when they do, there's such an intuition between the two people. You just know how solid you both are. You're doing video calls, there's hard plans. There's just such solidness in that you don't have to ask these sort of questions. You're not coming to me uncertain about it. So with that uncertainty there, my advice for you in this situation would be to be very skeptical of it. What specifically to do now? I mean, has he set hard plans for the Christmas break? If he's not talking to you regularly, if he's not texting, I would just call him out on it and be like, look, my intuition's sensing you're not fully into this. And he might say, oh, I just want to work for our future. And that's when you're going to have to do the clarification thing, which is to say, hey, I appreciate that a lot. And, I can see that is how you're showing your love and how you're stepping up for me. And it would mean a lot to me, if we could have more quality time, because this is actually how that's making me feel. If I'm being honest, it's actually making me feel sad and disconnected. I'm not going to be okay long-term with a relationship where we only chat once a week or we don't have hard plans. Saying something like that will help right now, but the overall message is if you have to ask the question, if your intuition isn't rock solid with a guy that you haven't met, then very rarely ends well. Kyrie says, how do you feel about zodiac signs playing into dating styles? I don't. Ilonah says, is not having the what we are talk good? Do we continue with the situationship if we haven't had the talk? How to know if you're exclusive? No, it's not good unless you love confusion or uncertainty in your life, which in some cases you might. You might say, you know what, I just want something to enjoy myself right now. I don't want to know what he's doing. I don't want him to know what I'm doing. You want that uncertainty, you just want to leave it blurry? Great, don't have the talk. All other situations, have the talk. Ulrika says, how do you find dates when you're over 40 and hate online dating? I've asked my friends to set me up with someone, but none of them knows a guy that will fit me. I've been single for 8 years, and now since I left a narcissist, I've learned my lessons and I really want to meet the love of my life, but how? Tony Robbins has a great quote that you can apply to pretty much anything in life. The quote is that it's never a lack of resources, it's a lack of resourcefulness, right? You can apply this to everything. I apply this when I'm parking my car, there's no parks. I'm like, well, it's never a lack of parking spots, it's a lack of resourcefulness in finding a place to park my car. Right? It's gotten me a few fines, but I've always found a park. So when you look at it's never a lack of resources, but a lack of resourcefulness, you'll find that, hey, there is a way. If I gave you $1 million and said, hey, I want you to meet 10 single men by the end of the month, you would meet 30 to get that $1 million, right? So if you want it enough, you'll make it happen. That being said, I love online dating. I think anyone can master it with a few hours training. Check out the Messaging Magic book that I wrote. That'll get you 90% of the way. And I don't think there's any reason to not use it in this day and age. If you know how to use it, if you adapt to it, it's fun, it's enjoyable. It's just like going to a bar except on a screen, so you don't even have to put pants on. And seriously, anyone can do it. Valentina says, Mark, my boyfriend ticks 3 of the signs you mentioned in this video. It is the video of how to spot an angry guy or a guy with anger issues. It's becoming extremely hard for me to feel happy and safe around him, yet I'm so attached to him. I don't know how to break up, even as I know that this is not how I want to be treated in a relationship. Please give me some guidance. Honestly, Valentina, this is not going to be easy. And there's nothing I can say that's going to make this easy when you do it. Hard choices, easy life, right? Or easy choices and hard life. You've got to pick what you want. If you go to the gym, right, there's nothing I can say that when you're doing the 10th rep of that bar or when you're at the 30th minute on that treadmill right at your limit, there's nothing I can say that in that moment is going to make it easy. There's things I can say that'll get you to the gym, right? There's things that'll say that even can tweak your mindset when you're on the treadmill, but in that moment, there's always going to be struggle. So you have to decide if that's a struggle you're willing to accept right now. And I will say that this is a struggle, you know, if what you really want is love and connection, if you struggle for it now, you're going to have the gains, the emotional gains for it in the future, the emotional health, the fulfillment. If you don't struggle for it now, your future's going to go down a dark, dark path with this guy. Second last question is from Leila, who says, hey Mark, cool video. This is on 5 attractive mindsets. How can I encourage a guy with the avoidant style to be more vulnerable with me? He's pulling away every time we're getting closer. Oh, the number of times I hear this question. Look, you can't make avoidance move closer to you in terms of there's nothing you can physically do. You can hold space for that, but honestly, the best way to go about this is to set boundaries with the behavior. That's it, because avoidance is caused by pain of closeness, right? If you really want to dive into it, someone who's avoidant is worried about losing themselves in a relationship. If I get close to you, my independence is going to disappear, right? That's the core fear of an avoidant. So they're always going to run from closeness naturally. So you've got to stack up the pain on the other side of the seesaw of the scale if you want them to lean into that pain. And that other pain that you can stack up is the pain of losing you. And you apply that through healthy boundaries. You say, hey, I'm going to let you know how this makes me feel and that I'm not going to tolerate this behavior. You say, hey, this is not okay to me. What you do is up to you, but I'm going to let you know that I'm looking for a man who wants to lean into closeness, not a boy who wants to run from it. You know, give him that and hold space for him when he does open up to you, when he does get close to you. But if he continues this behavior, all you can do is put a boundary around it and maybe enough pain will stack up on the other side of the scale for him to learn his lesson. But I wouldn't spend months waiting for it. Jona says, having a man falling in love is easy. The real struggle is how can I assure he is the one? Still hoping to find the right one for me, my destiny. Great question from Jona Dalosa, although you've got a female picture here. Look, this is why I'm so passionate about teaching empowering, connected relationship, because so many people end up in relationships. So many clients come to me, they're married, they're in a relationship, or they have been for 10 years, and it hasn't had real connection. It hasn't had real closeness, real intimacy. I can't be angry around her. She can't be sad with me. We're too scared to speak up about problems. That's not a real relationship. That's just a 50% convenient coexistence. So yeah, this is a great question, and you've got to define this for yourself. I actually have a video that I published, or it may not be published at the time of this video, but it's have you found real love, or do you know what real love looks like? So have a watch of that video, because from working with thousands of women, that's how I've defined real love and real relationship, and it's a great checklist idea that you can use to actually spot, hey, is this really healthy? And you'll know because that relationship will have some traits in it that most people in relationships never get to experience. Very, very powerful. So I'll put the link in the description of this video if it's published. If not, subscribe with the little bell so you get it when it's on the channel. And that is all the questions for Ask Mark number 96. Remember, live on January the 9th, Saturday, January the 9th, 2 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and Sunday morning in Brisbane. Get your girlfriends, come hang out with me. We're going to be going live for 2 hours, answering your questions, having some fun, bringing a special guest or two in. That's going to be our celebration of the new year and celebration of your support in no less than 100 episodes of Ask Mark. From filming in my kitchen to my amazing cinematographer, Maddie. He's been there for most of it, so celebration. Come join me for that. Post your question in the space below, as you always do, with the hashtag AskMark. Again, hit that subscribe button with a little bell, and I will see you in the next video very soon.